Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to the Porter Says podcast with your host and only host, Heath. Thank you so much for tuning in today's episode. So, this one, honestly, there's not going to be a whole lot. It's probably going to be like the same stuff as usual. I'll just like talk about a little bit of news, and a bit of music. I'm going to do another music segment in this one. And I'm also going to be reviewing Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, because I saw that yesterday afternoon. I've had a decent amount of time, obviously, to think about it and think about my thoughts on the movie. So that'll probably be... That'll be at the end, I think, as it usually is. If I'm reviewing... at least if it's a new release, I always talk about it at the very end. Last episode I reviewed those Huckleberry and Tom Sawyer films at the end, but that's because I wanted them to be at the end because I feel like those movies aren't very well known by many, so I just felt like doing it anyway. But yeah, so I'll be reviewing Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning at the very end, so stay tuned for that. And I guess I'll give my thoughts on The Last of Us, Season 2, Episode 6, I think it was, which is the second last episode. So actually, let's start with that. So let's get into that. So I haven't actually really talked about the last few episodes of The Last of Us, and that's because I haven't had too much to say. I've enjoyed them, but I think episode 6, man, this was probably the second best of the entire season. I don't know what my favorite episode of the entire series is, because I've only seen season 1 once, so I might need to go back and rewatch that one. But this episode 6, man, by far, I'd say it's my second favorite after episode 2. This was a flashback episode, so Pedro Pascal returned as Joel, and it was such a joy to see his character come back, even though it's only flashbacks, because obviously, if you've seen the game, or played the game, or seen the show, you know what happened to him. But this was a very emotional episode, man. I think the performances by Bella Ramsey and Pedro Pascal were fantastic. This one, pretty much with all, when it goes through the flashbacks, it's chronicling, what do you call it? Sorry, that was my phone. I'm very, very sorry. This one's kind of going through each birthday of Ellie's. So the first flashback is when she's 15, the next one she's 16, and then I think one of the next ones she's 17, and then we cut to when she's turning 19, which is around the time that we pick up with the first episode. I think the final scene... I'm sorry if I'm kind of skipping around, but the biggest scene that I really want to talk about is the porch scene, which is at the very end of the Last of Us Part 2 video game. So, from what I heard, it was very odd that they were going to include it in this part of the show. I loved this scene so much. It was very emotional. Pedro Pascal was brilliant, and Bella Ramsey was also brilliant in this scene in particular. I think just with the way that Pedro Pascal, with his performance, he doesn't even have to say anything. He's just nodding, and you can see that he wants to bawl his eyes out. You can tell he's trying to hold back these tears when Ellie's like, okay, what happened about the Fireflies? What truly happened there? I'm going to give you one more chance to tell me the truth, or we're done. Forever. We're done. And he tells her. And he says, they were going to try and get a cure out of you. But it was going to kill you. And I didn't want that to happen. And she's like, that my life would have mattered. It would have given me purpose. You took that from me. You took it from everyone. I just can't even believe that scene, man. It was fantastic. one of the best scenes in the show. I wouldn't say it's one of the best scenes in television, because I think that's maybe too recent to say, since the episode came out 2 days ago. But it was pretty close. So those are my quick little rambly thoughts on season 2, episode 6 of The Last of Us. So now we'll get on with the little bit of news. Just kind of like the last one, I only have like a few bits of news really. So got a brand new poster. It's more of an official poster really for Percy Jackson and the Olympian season 2. It's premiering obviously in December of this year. The poster just shows Percy on the ship, and you see like one of these monsters come out of the sea, and you can see he's got his trusty riptide in his hand, his sword next to him, and it just says above, "The quest continues." But that's about it. That's all we got in terms of new material for this next season of Percy Jackson. A little disappointing, really. But I feel like they are taking their time with this and trying to find a way where they can release footage that doesn't spoil too much, especially for newcomers who haven't read the books or who hadn't seen the movies or anything, which, you know, obviously those movies weren't very faithful. So, but I'm still very excited to see a faithful adaptation with this second season, because I mean, I just kind of hinted at a second ago. I enjoy the Sea of Monsters film for what it is on its own, but as an adaptation, it was really bad and took a lot of stuff out, and just changed too much. So, but yeah, I can't wait. I think I've said it before. I think the first season, while not a complete perfect adaptation of the book, it was still pretty great, and it definitely captured the spirit of the book, and it captured the characters very, very well. So I'm excited to see a very, very, very hopefully somewhat faithful adaptation of Sea of Monsters in this second season. They'll probably change things and add things and stuff like that, but you never know. Who knows with this one. And then the second bit of news is that there have been photos, I guess, leaked. They weren't really officially released, really. I don't think they were supposed to, of the set, or set photos, I should say, really, of the Harry Potter HBO Max TV show, which looks like it's being filmed at Legion Studios, which I'm pretty sure is where the films were shot. So from what I can, I'll put the photos up on the screen. It kind of just like shows, like, I guess they're, you know, creating a new Privet Drive and stuff like that, and everything. But you should be able to have a look of what's going on. I don't. Again, I've said this in a few episodes. I don't fully know how to feel about this TV show. I'm sure for book fans who weren't completely satisfied with the films will be a bit more satisfied with this TV show adaptation, since it is a show, so they'll be able to include more things. But they're gonna change things, and they're gonna like omit things. It doesn't matter whether it's a movie or a show. It really doesn't. They're gonna do it. So you're still not gonna get a full-on, completely faithful adaptation of the Harry Potter books. You're never going to. Even if they made like a 6-7 hour Harry Potter movie, I know many people would probably go to see that, myself included, but they would still... We'd all still be complaining that they removed this and changed that. And so, I don't know. But from what I can see on these set photos, it looks pretty cool. I guess it's kind of cool to see that they're starting in production. So that's cool. I will be tuned in to this series, obviously. I'm not I'm not against it or anything. I'm just thinking it hasn't been that long since the last movie. There's so many other things you can do in the Harry Potter world because of how expansive it is. Why not do... I always thought in my head, why not do a little like Netflix miniseries or HBO series of the Tales of the Beetle of the Bar with like 5, 6, however the stories are in that book, mini episodes. Why not? Why not? So, I'm so sorry if you can hear Porter snoring. Okay. He doesn't care. Who cares? Anyway, so that's the last bit of news right there. Let me know down below what you think about all of this. And let's get into the music segment. So, this is going to be talking about a specific genre of music that... so a few weeks ago, I fell down a country music rabbit hole and just went down this rabbit hole and just found a bunch of different country music that I somehow like. I didn't expect to like it. Yeah, because I was listening to this like one country song that I like. I really do like, and then I was sitting outside with my dad, and he was like, "Oh, bit of country," and then just after that, it just went a whole different level. I found so many country songs that I either like really do like now, or like ones that are bad, but they're still like they're really funny. I even made a playlist on Spotify, which if I might link my Spotify profile so you can go check it out. But there's just like a bunch of different things in there. Yeah. I wouldn't say I'm a complete country music fan still. There is a lot of ones I don't like. It's very, very... Luke Combs I am not a fan of. I never will be. But other than that, I think it just... I don't know. All of a sudden, I just went down this whole rabbit hole of music, of country music. And I didn't expect to. Okay. If you're expecting in the next episode for me to have like a hat on and like the boots and like a plaid shirt or something, whatever. I'm sure if you're from the country, if you're a country kind of girl or gal or guy, I'm probably like really offending you right now. But I always kind of felt like maybe I had a bit of country in me because when I was a kid, I did spend a lot of time out at the farm, so maybe there's always been a bit of country in me, and I just never really. Maybe I grew out of it, obviously, once I got older, but I don't know. I think I appreciate country music a lot more than I have in the past. Again, I've managed to find songs that I do really like that aren't so over the top and ridiculous. Or at least, like, there's a couple that I have in this playlist that are a bit over the top, but they're still funny. It's not like they get annoying or anything. So yeah, I just thought I'd include that little music segment to this one. Right, now let's get to the main event, as I always like to say. I am very aware that I repeat a lot of the same catchphrases and sayings in these podcasts, but that's who I am. You're gonna have to deal with it. So, and again, Porter is being really annoying with his snoring. So at one point I will have to get up again and tell him to be quiet. I really don't want to. Okay. Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Supposedly the final film in the franchise. I am a big fan of this series. I really like the first one. Mission Impossible 2 is really kind of terrible. It's a pretty bad movie. Like there's a couple of scenes here and there that are pretty cool, but it just feels like a completely different movie from the first one. Like even like Ethan Hunt, Tom Cruise doesn't feel like his character from the first one. 3 I really like. I think 3 is pretty underrated for an action movie and in this series. And then Ghost Protocol, Rogue Nation, Fallout, Dead Reckoning, and obviously The Final Reckoning are all pretty great movies. With this one, in my opinion, being the second best in this series. Yes, so Mission Impossible The Final Reckoning, it was a great movie. And again, if it was an ending to this series, it was a pretty fantastic ending. This movie is nearly 3 hours long. It is, about 2 hours and 50 odd minutes long. So it does take a while to get going. The first half or so, maybe if that really does require your attention. There's a lot of exposition, a lot of talky talk, but it's still investing because it's building to something and it's building up to a fantastic final sequence and third act. Tom Cruise, I mean, say what you will about him as a person or whatever, like, I don't care. The man's a really good actor, great actor even, and he's such a good stuntsman. He's so good. Every time I see him in these movies and he's doing all these like death-defying stunts, I'm like, dude, how are you not dead? How on earth have you been living this long without getting hurt? Haley Atwell is great. Simon Pegg's great. Just every character in this film from the last one is great. Lucas Gabriel as our main villain. Actually, no, that's the character's name. I'm so sorry. Gabriel, the main villain. That's not the actor's name. That's the character. He's really good in this movie. He was great in the last one, and he's actually pretty solid here too. He's a bit over the top, but it works. I think I think the third movie had the best villain, but I think I really like this one too. I think he's great. So, and all the action, of course, is brilliant. It's well filmed. I think the final action sequence with Ethan on the plains going through the mountains and stuff like that is very, I wouldn't say like full on intense, but it's still pretty like hold on to your seat, If I had to kind of complain about anything, is that obviously with it nearly being 3 hours, the pacing is a bit like there's one sequence where Ethan has to go into this underwater submarine. Like he goes to the submarine to find it. If you saw the last movie, the end of that kind of was pretty much saying like he has to go find it. Or like the last movie ended with a shot of that submarine. So in this one, he's told by Gabriel to go do that. And this scene it's really well done. I wonder how long it took to film. But it was a really long sequence that I was kind of like, when's this going to end? Can we pick it up, please? Like it felt like it just went on for an eternity. Yeah, that's about it really for me. I think I liked the way it ended. Pretty much spoiler alert, I guess. You got Luther, played by Ving Rhames, and he's great. Unfortunately, his character, we have to say goodbye to him in this one. And it was a very, a bit of bittersweet and emotional ending, final scene between him and Ethan. But other than that, no other characters in this film bite it. Besides Gabriel at the end, obviously him being the villain, he, just like that, has a last little over-the-top thing for his character at least. But yeah, none of the other main characters meet their end. I thought at one point Ethan was going to, but he didn't. he had a couple of close calls in the last half of this movie. But yeah, I do like the fact that pretty much everybody gets, a happy ending, and they've kind of formed a bit of a new team and all things like that. There's a lot of nice callbacks to previous movies, and I like a lot of the montages. Mission Impossible, I think, a series as a whole is really good with their montages. I think so it's really nice to see that, and some characters from like the earlier films, like the very first movie, there's a character who comes back who I didn't recognize until they obviously they reveal it. I'm like, oh my god, that's ridiculous. So overall, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning was a really great action film, a great Mission Impossible movie, and just a very solid ending to this series. I hope this is the final one, because it does kind of end in a way where you think, oh, maybe another one, but I think everybody kind of is going to go their separate ways, and they'll run off, into the sunset and everything. So everybody's kind of in a good place, which I like. So yeah, that's Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. And that will conclude the episode of the Porter Says podcast. I want to thank you for tuning in once again. Like, share, subscribe, check out all the links below. Share with your friends and everything. I think I just said like, share, whatever. But that's about it, really. That's all I have to say. So I'll catch you guys next time. Have a good rest of your week and weekend when it comes.